Real quick, our musician guest Hayden wanted to share one of his songs from his band, the Oitakus, titled Oi Oi Fight the Power. If you want to hear it, just scroll to the very end of this podcast. Hi everyone! Welcome to the Neurolucia channel. Today, on episode 3 of WaffleCast, we're going to be talking about music. And today with me, I have a good friend of mine, Hayden Gist. He is a punk musician, and he's awesome. And Hayden, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? You're like, I already said your name, but like, how old you are, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hayden Gist. I'm a 28-year-old autistic musician from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I understand music more than I understand people.
That sounds accurate. So what diagnoses do you have that you're comfortable sharing here?
Well, I've written them down: autism, bipolar depression, anxiety, and ADHD.
Cool. I've got my own host of diagnoses as well. So
it's a host
seems
of
like
diagnoses
it seems like it's always like buy one get one free. You tend to have more than one. So
comorbidities.
So is there any I guess brief, random, unrelated facts about you that you'd like to share?
So when we were discussing the notes for the show, you offered an example of a brief, random, unrelated fact about you. For example, I like owls, and my fact is that I like owls.
Yes.
I really like owls.
It's so great. I know several people on the spectrum who have just a really interesting favorite animal. Like you're one of them. You like owls.
Okay.
I have another friend who really likes turtles. It's just
It's
I
have a few turtle friends myself and frog friends.
Turtle friends, frog friends is the best.
Yeah.
So, what kind of musician are you, Hayden? Like, how would you describe it? I know earlier I said you're a punk musician, but I think you've done different genres as well.
That's correct. If you see me glancing over to the corner up here, it's because I got my notes on my second monitor. I'm primarily a guitarist and composer. I can write for pretty much any instrument, but I can only play guitar and a little bit of piano and a smidgen of accordion. I sing too, but I'm a little bit out of practice. I've played and composed everything from jazz and classical to punk and even industrial metal. Right now, I'm mostly sticking to like rock and punk and metal stuff.
Awesome. So, how old were you when you first got into music? Like, what inspired you to pursue it as a career?
So I've always found joy in music for pretty much as long as I can remember, early childhood. As a young child, in fact, around age 6 or so, I discovered I had perfect pitch. My dad and I discovered that I had perfect pitch, and I even helped my older sister with her music class assignments. But I didn't begin to really take it seriously until after my dad passed away when I was about 11 years old. I picked up an old acoustic guitar that my family had lying around. I think it belonged to my grandfather. It was up in the attic, and this was after my dad passed away, and I just kind of randomly picked up this acoustic guitar that I found. I figured out how to strum a chord, and for reasons that I can't explain to this day, it comforted me in a way that I knew from then on that music was a thing that would be in my life forever. And to be honest, it's one of the only things in life that I'm any good at, so I just took it and ran with it.
Awesome. Also, Hayden, I have a link to the chat now, so I'm gonna send that to you in a DM. So if you want to see what people are saying, here you go.
That's awesome. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up while also having the window up. So bear with me, guys. Let's see. Here's the chat. I might be able to put this in a different window. But while that's happening, yeah, go ahead and ask me the next question, I suppose.
Cool. One moment. I'm also getting some more music because now we are talking in dead silence.
Oh no!
Music in the background of the music the music stream. So, what was your first band, and how did it get started? Like, what inspired it?
So I used to play music for like, I grew up in long story short, I grew up in a very Christian school and a Christian environment where I went to church every week, and I learned to play music through chapel programs and church, what do you call it, like church worship service and stuff. But my first proper band was my band Neptune the Mystic. Raph and Colin, the vocalist and drummer of this band, respectively, put up ads for guitarist at MTSU, the college that I went to, and I happened to answer one. I found one in the music building, I think, and I called them up and answered it. I gradually began to, so I joined this band, and it was just the three of us. I gradually began to assume creative control when we started writing original material, just because I had a background in writing and stuff. And then we came up with the name Neptune the Mystic in reference to the Gustav Holst classical music, The Planets Suite, in which each planet has a title and a piece written about it.
Cool. I love the name of that band, Neptune the Mystic.
It's a cool name.
It's a very cool name. Oh, Jaden's here. I think Gavin's here. Good to see you both. So you said that. So I was like, honestly, only half paying attention just because I was like tweaking some like technical stuff. So you said that Neptune the Mystic was your first band?
It was the first band that I wrote like original material for, recorded original material, and played live shows. Yeah. That was awesome. Back in 2013.
Wow. So you've had it for quite a while. And I've been to one of your shows as well for Neptune the Mystic. It's really cool. Love the aesthetic. I like the sound. And I think that I don't know if you've said this earlier, but when people have asked like what genre of music is Neptune the Mystic, you've had a really interesting answer for that. How would you describe it?
Symphonic industrial metal.
Symphonic industrial metal. That basically, that's pretty accurate. That's what it sounds like. It's pretty cool.
It's a combination of Lacuna Coil, Ghost, and Rammstein.
Ooh. I'm actually gonna see if I can find a link to, because you have like a website for Neptune the Mystic, right? Somewhere.
We shut it down.
Oh, you shut it down. Do you have?
We shut down the website, but we still have Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
I can find the Bandcamp link. Yeah, it's I can't remember how it's spelled, but I got it pulled up on my computer, like on the in a bookmark, so I can like message that to you. Yeah, neptunemystic.bandcamp.com. I'm gonna message it to you.
Gavin says symphonic as industrial metal sounds BA. It is. What
does BA mean?
Bad A, I guess. Badass.
Okay. You get that.
At least that's what I'm guessing. And then also Revolt's here, Danny's here. Hi everyone. Danny's one of our subscribers. I think he's an Epic Waffle subscriber. And yeah, sweet. And tell me a little bit more about some of your other bands, because I know you have other bands besides Neptune the Mystic.
3 bands in total. I'm also in a punk/metal band called Schizo in Crisis, who play music combining styles of Alice Cooper, The Misfits, and Gigi Allen with a redneck twist. I live down in the South, so there's going to be a redneck twist to this one. It's a lot of fun, too, because our lead singer, half of him is Schizo and half of him is Crisis, and he drank a bottle of moonshine with 2 little aliens in it, and they can each control one side of his brain, and that's like the ethos of that band. It's crazy. But by far, my most successful project is the Oitakus, an anime-themed street punk band who formed in the wake of COVID as an attempt to get a spiky-studded pogo street punk band into anime conventions just for shits and giggles, and surprisingly, it worked twice.
Wow. Yeah, I am so proud of you, of like how that's gone. And I think it makes sense why Oitakus is so popular, because like, you know, punks are kind of weird and anime people are weird, and you mix them together and it's like, it's a really specific niche and it's pretty cool. And you've also, I think, performed at a anime convention as well with that band.
Right? Yeah, exactly. We've performed at MTech and here in Tennessee. We performed at a KaiCon as well. We've performed at like multiple like music festivals around the southeastern area, here in Tennessee and Atlanta, and we just got invited to play a big music festival up in Chicago that I'm not going to release too many details about right now because it's still in the works. But and next year we are playing this big music festival in Chicago, and it's super exciting.
That is so cool. Yeah, I used to, excuse me, I used to live in the Chicago area, and I've been to Chicago a couple times, and now part of me wishes I lived over there just so I could watch you perform over there if you do perform over there. So
there is nowhere to park.
Oh yes, there is nowhere to park. It's like impossible. When I would go to Chicago, I would always take the train, so I was just walking everywhere, which I'm fine with. Depending on where you're going, you know, it's pretty easy to get there because there's the trains, there's walking, yeah.
I'm gonna try something that might not work very well, but I'm gonna see. So there's no taking the train with that thing.
What?
I don't know if you can see it. That's my Marshall amp.
Oh yeah. Good luck carrying that. Good luck carrying that.
That's what we're worried about. That's what we're like trying to figure out right now is like
that
equipment,
makes sense.
logistics.
Yeah, it would be so much easier to haul that stuff in an actual vehicle. For sure.
We'll figure it out.
All right, on to my next question. So what are you currently pursuing in your music career? Is there anything you're working on right now or any specific goal next up for the future?
So in regards to my bands, all three of my bands are about to release new albums or EPs, depending on the band. Two of them are nearly complete. One of them is complete, actually. We just got to release it. The other one is we completed tracking it, so now I just got to go into mixing it and then send it off to be mastered. And the third one is, so we're still writing it. And so the Oitaku's one should come out, is the one that needs to be mixed and mastered. That one should come out by the end of the fall. And then the Schizo and Neptune ones will follow shortly. The Neptune one is the one we're still writing, actually, so that might be a little while because we still have a couple more songs to write before we actually go into producing and recording it. I've also began pursuing careers in audio engineering, booking, and production management. I started working with a couple companies up in Nashville doing like sound engineering, like live sound engineering for different venues. And I recently was at a festival called Muddy Roots that I'll talk about a little bit later in Cookeville, where I was a stage manager and was like liaison for all the talent and managing the bands that played, like getting them onto the stage and keeping the schedule and everything. And it was super chill, easy gig, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yay. So something that I'm curious about, which I think you might have talked a little bit about this with me, but like I'm wondering what is it like listening to music versus making it as a musician?
So, as a musician, I've learned to not only analyze everything I hear, but also enjoy music in a new light. I can't help but learn from everything I hear. The night before the Oitaku's played our set at Muddy Roots, this is the story I wanted to get to, the big music festival we recently played, I got to see a very popular punk band called The Casualties perform at the same festival. And not only did I massively enjoy it, but I analyzed it. I watched every movement, analyzed the set list, and took every idea I could to apply it apply to our set the following day to ensure that ours would be just as entertaining to watch. I do that with all music I listen to and all live concerts I see.
That makes sense. Like, what's really interesting is it makes me think of how whenever I went to college and I was studying film, they told me explicitly, like, you're never going to be able to watch movies the same way because you're going to be analyzing it all the time. It's like it's going to ruin movies for you. But for me, it didn't, like, ruin movies for me. Actually, it made them more interesting. And
I was going to say, a lot of college professors lied to me when I went to music school. And
oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There were college professors who said, like, actually, there were college professors who told me that same thing, and they said that music was ruined for them, and that because they do music every day, they couldn't listen to music like just as a recreational activity. And not only do I believe it, but I feel sorry for them because I genuinely believe they're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. But that's me getting on a pedestal soapbox that I don't need to get on right now. So forget I said that.
Sorry if you heard me talking. I was asking Jaden to turn the light off because my eyeballs were burning. Thank you, Jaden. Whoosh, yeah, my eyeballs just lit on fire, so that's always fun. Yeah. So, like, I found that, like, studying film has actually made me enjoy film more. So, like, they were wrong when they're like, it would ruin film for you. And it's the same thing when I'm watching anime and stuff too. Like if and I'm a total nerd, so that's actually one reason why I appreciate the existence of the oitakus. But like, let's say I'm watching an anime and it has like a really good storyline, or some kind of thing that I think is like really unique that I haven't seen before. I like get super excited and I'm like analyzing it. And I'm like, this is awesome. Or I'll be like, this is boring if it's a boring one. But
oh yeah, you can tell like faster.
Yeah. So like,
and you can tell why.
Yeah. So are there some things that like you started noticing more in? Oh, thanks for the subscribe, Jean Carlo. Cario, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you for that. So like, is there anything that you started noticing more? I know this isn't on the script, but like, it's kind of going off the last question. Like, is there any specific things that you started noticing more about music when you really got into music versus before? Like any little details? Yeah.
2 things. First of all, well, 3 things actually. 4 things. Okay. First of all, almost all pop songs use the exact same chord progression. It's called the 4-chord progression, where it's either, let's see if I remember this, 6-4-1-5 or 1-5-6-4. Music nerds will know what I'm talking about. Go listen to "Don't Stop Believing" by, I think it's Journey, right?
Yeah.
I don't know my classic rock very well, but go listen to that song. And the chord progression is used everywhere in a lot of popular music. It's like the 1, then the 5, then the 6, then the 4, 1, 5, 6, 4. That kind of progression is used everywhere. And also almost all popular music, like chart-topping music, is at 120 BPM. There were studies done at, can't remember the university, but there were studies done that like the perfect chart-topping tempo of music is 119.7 or some weird like they averaged every single like pop song in the past 10-20 years or something, and it all averaged out to be like 119.7, which basically rounds up to 120, which is, interestingly enough, the same tempo as a ticking clock. Because 60 beats per minute is 60 seconds per minute, and you multiply that by 2, that's 120 BPM.
I wasn't aware of that. That's kind of cool, yeah. And what you just described almost makes sense, like why all that music would be popular, because it's like, that just sounds very familiar. Everyone knows what a ticking clock sounds like.
Yeah, and that sounds about... That's about the rhythm, and that's the same rhythm as "Don't Stop Believing," so it makes sense. No, there were 2 other things I was going to mention as well, assuming we have the time for that. I was going to say that I've learned to analyze music. I think I kind of already mentioned this, but I've learned why it sounds good or why it doesn't sound good, or why like a particular piece of music is genius and how it connects to other things emotionally and like symbolism and stuff like that. Especially when studying classical music, so much symbolism and this thing called consinity, which is where you connect the music to other forms of art that are presented with the music, like the lyrics or the symbolism behind like what the story the music is trying to tell and stuff like that. I know it's kind of a hokey way of explaining it, but and the other thing that the 4th and final thing that I've noticed is that some people say that learning music will ruin it for you, and the reason why they say that, I just remembered, is because it ruins the magic or whatever, because now you know the inner workings, and it's like, oh, well, that means that it's not mysterious or mystical anymore or whatever. Bullshit, because what it teaches you why it's genius. It teaches you why it works, and as a result, it teaches you to appreciate it even more, because you can see how much work and how much effort was put into creating it.
Yeah, and it sounds exactly the same like as my experience with film, like where it's like, oh, it's gonna ruin the magic for you, but it's like, no, actually it explains why it's so magical, and that makes me like it more. Yeah. And it's sort of like the whole concept of like, oh, well, if you're watching a magician, if you know what's behind the magic, then it kind of ruins it for you. But if you're going to become a magician, it's like, granted, you're probably going to be already interested in that stuff. You're probably going to
was
already
gonna
want to
say.
know all the little secrets so you can be a great magician. And I feel like it's the same thing with
Even if
film
you
and
know how to
with
do the-
music. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but even if you know how to do the trick, there's still the skill involved in making it look good.
Oh yeah, for sure, because you want to be able to make it as convincing as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still skill in performing an instrument. There's still skill in getting the right shot, you know?
Exactly. It's how I've heard it said is that the less people notice your work, like the better it is. Like
Yeah.
they shouldn't notice like all of the, they shouldn't look at it and say like, oh, somebody edited this. They should just be watching it and just enjoying it, not really thinking about it.
Suspension of disbelief, is that what that is? Or like the immersion?
I
Immersion.
suppose so. Yeah, probably immersion might be a more accurate term for that.
Yeah.
But,
That's totally
But
true.
yeah,
I get that. I
basically.
get that.
I was also wondering what genres of music do you enjoy listening to? Like any specific bands or any bands you've seen or know in person from concerts?
I listen to and watch a lot of punk music. Lots and lots of
Obviously.
punk music, in fact, obviously. I'll answer this by talking about my favorite band I've ever seen live. They're called Who Killed Spiky Jacket, and they are a pogo punk band from Boston whose lyrics are all about chaos and looking and dressing punk and drinking and sniffing glue. Not drinking glue, but like drinking alcohol and sniffing glue. And their live shows have been said by rumor to be so intense that they could never get 3 songs into their set before the cops get called to shut it down.
Oh,
I went to go
gosh.
see them. I went to go see them in Florida in 2000. What year was it? 2018, at a festival called We Are the Punks. I'm looking up here because I have a flyer for it on my wall, and I went to go see them. They were the last band of the night because it turns out those rumors are true, and it turns out those rumors are true because of the fireworks that people shoot off in the audience in the mosh pit while they're playing. It's insane.
no.
I'm going to see if I can find the video. This might take me a second, but I'm going to see if I can find the video of me running away from a mortar as I'm actually running towards the stage. I got my spiky hair up. I'm running towards the stage and a mortar goes off like right as and then I duck and like fall to the ground. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It was if I can find the video. Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna.
Ooh,
link
could
it.
you send it? Could you send it to me through
I'll send it to you, too.
Messenger? Because then I can.
Do you want me to do that instead?
Yeah, and I can actually stream it.
Do you want to edit it?
Huh?
Okay, sure. I'll show you. Yeah. This is gonna be so fun. I'll point out if I can watch it too while you do that. I'll point out where I am.
Okay. I'm gonna. Oh, I'm having some technical problems. Hang on. Ah, there we go. Now it's showing.
Yeah,
you
that's
should
it.
be able to. Yeah, you should be able to see it on the screen now. So
I see it.
let me make this nice and big.
It might be kind of loud, so you might want to turn it down just a little bit.
Gotcha. Hang on. I have this muted.
That's Who Killed Spiky Jacket. And the smoke is from the fireworks. There I am.
Oh, there you are. Yep, I see you.
Back patch. Yeah. And this blue spiky hair. There's the fireworks going off. There are other bands who do this, but this is the first time I've ever seen that. That's my friend PJ with the big green mohawk on guitar. He's super chill. He's super cool.
So,
And then, wait. There it is. No.
boom!
There it is. That's it.
Well, I take it this show, was this in Tennessee?
Yeah, it is. Is there any audio coming out?
It's not coming
I don't know
through
if
the
there's audio.
call, but it's coming through
Oh,
the
okay,
screen,
but it's coming
so
through the screen. Good.
Yeah,
want
I
people to hear
mentioned-
this is chaotic and loud.
It sounds chaotic. I was gonna say, like, if this was in Tennessee, it's like, it makes sense that they're setting off fireworks, because where I lived in Illinois, like, it was illegal to do that. But
Florida. I don't think it was illegal in Florida either. This is South Florida. And it was in a
this
parking
is
lot.
Florida. Oh,
Yeah, I went to Florida to see the show, and it was insane.
Florida
And they had
is
two others
crazy.
with a ton of awesome headliners, like The Virus, Tom and Boot Boys, saw Revolt, No Class, Chips Ahoy. One year I got to see The Ejected, Blank 77, Lower Class Brats, The Erections, The Ghouls. They were amazing. I got to see The Ruffians, and they were super awesome. Moose Knuckle, Unwanted Noise, Brouhaha, Decon, Rotten Stitches, The Horribles, Atomic Cretins. They were really good. A whole bunch of, I'm looking at the poster, but a whole bunch of awesome bands that played this festival over the years.
Cool. I love how like punk bands tend to have like these really crazy names.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like very weird ones too. Like you could literally name a punk band like I Punched Your Mom and I Liked It, and that would be like a that would be a legit punk band.
Might get canceled by some circles, but sure.
Probably, but that's like if you don't get canceled, it's not punk, is it? I guess.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Okay.
There's some lines I won't cross.
I gotcha.
Yes, they were called the Erections. They're from Japan. They're wonderful.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So Hayden, is making music therapeutic for you? And if so, how?
It absolutely is. As I said previously, music has always been the one thing I've always been good at. So I know I can always return to it. On top of that, whenever I compose a new song or play a live show, I enter a sort of trance-like headspace where I feel I belong and nothing can hurt me. It's a safe space of pure confidence.
That's awesome. It sounds almost like the concept of like a flow state. Like
What's that?
It's this idea that when you're really focused in on something, like let's say I'm video editing, it's where you get into. It is a bit like a trance where you're really getting into it. You're not focusing on anything else. And
like a hyperfocus?
Somewhat, I guess. But it's like it feels natural. It feels good. It's a great feeling.
That's probably the word for it.
Yeah,
that's probably the
word
for it. Yeah.
Like there are times when I'm video editing, like I suck at actually sitting down and getting started on things. That's my biggest problem. But once I actually sit down and start on my video editing, when I really get into it, which, you know, can take maybe a few minutes to get to this point, but once I actually get into it, I'm in flow state. I'm focused on it. I'm like, it's the most natural feeling. It's like following my instincts. It's a great thing.
That's it. Yeah.
It's awesome. And do you think that your neurodivergence helps your ability to make music? And if so, how?
Yeah, as was mentioned before, I had perfect pitch growing up. And although I had no formal diagnosis, I'm fairly confident that because of that and also because of other factors that I've noticed over the years, I may have some form of synesthesia, which is a condition that stems from ADHD, as far as I'm aware, where activating one sense triggers another almost at random. And for me, I can sometimes see music as colors. And this has been known to enhance creativity as it gives the mind a unique way to analyze certain creative conditions. I'm not 100% sure about that because that's like something that kind of happens sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, I've never had a formal diagnosis. But on top of this, whenever I bring up my autism, I say that I understand music more than I understand people. And I was just talking to you about the other day about how I have problems processing emotions, even though I have no problem expressing them. And I think music has a huge part in teaching me how to express and understand those emotions and how to connect with people when I otherwise can't.
That makes so much sense. And I think that's actually a pretty good reason why a lot of autistic people really get into their interest, because it's not always as complicated as people. Or for that specific person, it's probably easier to comprehend and to understand, and it's like a comforting, like safe place to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and my brain farted. Speaking of neurodivergence, remind me again, okay, because like my brain like completely lost where we are. What was it that you said again? Just like generally.
So I understand music more than I understand people. I'll just reread the notes that I have, and I have trouble processing emotions, even though I have no problem expressing them. Music helps me music has a huge part in teaching me how to express and understand those emotions, even though I don't
Yeah.
understand people very
That's
well. I
the
can't connect with
Yeah, that's
them
the part I
otherwise.
wanted to hone in on too, because I've realized this about me too, to some degree. Obviously, I'm not a musician, but like when I'm
Yeah, you are.
listening, somewhat. I'm not as like talented
You're a
in it
very good singer
specifically
and a very good
as you.
pianist.
Thank you. I'm kind of, my style is like jack of all trades, master of none, pretty much. So like, rather than focusing on one thing, I try to do everything. But when it comes to music, like when I'm listening to music, I'm much more of a listener than I am a creator of music. I spend so much more time just listening to music, and
Okay.
there are some times when nothing else soothes me like listening to music, and like nothing else like validates me emotionally like listening to music. Sometimes I'll feel just totally dead inside until I turn on my music, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm alive again. So
I
this
will
is what
explain
emotions feel
why.
like.
I will explain why you feel that way at the end.
Please do.
We'll get there.
I mean, actually, I'd be curious to hear, even now, like what you have to say on that, since we're already on the topic.
That's okay. So, to explain why you feel that way, um, music is how we decorate time, much as how art is how we decorate space. All Western music, as in like, as opposed to like Asian traditional music or like sub-Saharan African tribal music or something like that. All Western popular music that we listen to nowadays is based on tension and release. Everything from using dominant chords to resolve to tonics to creating tension and performance by using fear of the unknown to resolve to the familiar. I'd give an example of that, but I couldn't think of one very well before this podcast started. I actually made it a goal to think of one, but I forgot to.
Yeah.
But anyway, music is playing with emotions to tease as much as it is to comfort, to explore happy and sad and everything in between by using this tension and release. Music is an extremely powerful art. I can even, I've got a guitar, I can even show you what I mean. Like, I
That
can
would
pull up a
actually be
guitar and
really
like play some
cool.
examples. I wonder
Um,
if y'all can hear this.
I did want to say though that, in response to that, real quick though, the word that comes to mind is catharsis, because of the whole tension
Yeah.
release thing. I am a huge sucker
Yeah.
for catharsis in music, in film, and anime. Like it makes me feel alive. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
show
I
us
get
what you're
that.
gonna show me.
So this guitar is tuned to E standard. This is my guitar tuned to E standard. This is an E major chord. We're going to call that the tonic, or the resting place, or the key of the song, the one chord. Now, if we go up here, that's a 4 chord. Did you see how we got there? We went 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Can you
makes
hear me
sense.
say that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm making sure the audio is coming through clearly.
Yeah, I can
So
hear
the
you just
4
fine.
chord, the 4 chord is what's known as the subdominant. And the subdominant is a place that we can go take the song away from the 1 to start building tension. So you have the 1. And then we go to this chord called the dominant, which is the 5, the 1 step up, and it sounds like this.
Ooh.
Now when you hear that, where does it want to go?
I don't know.
I'll show you where it wants to go.
Okay.
It's okay. You don't have to learn. This is just like music theory 101 stuff. But
Yeah.
where it wants to go is,
I am baby.
and then that resolves the song.
Yep.
Whatever melody we're playing. But we could also do this.
Ooh.
Delay it just a little bit. We could even delay it further by doing something like this. Let's see if I remember how to do that chord. And then we can go into jazz territory where we're using sevenths and building on circle of fifths and stuff like that. And let's see if I remember one of my favorite progressions. Oh yeah, so that's a very simple way of doing like 1, 4, 5, and also if we throw the 6 in here, this is the 6 because it's on top of the 5. So here we have 1, 6, 4, 5. that's not how it goes. How is that 4 chord that I just said? Oh yeah, 1 5 6 4. 1 5 6 4. 1 5 6 4. And that's the basis of almost every song you're going to hear on the radio.
Wow. So that's the thing you were talking about with the pop songs? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can see why that's so satisfying too. It's like your
Right,
brain
right.
kind of just naturally would want to go to those notes.
You want to hear a really complex version of the tension and release?
Sure.
This is so cool. Hear that?
Yeah, a little bit.
You want me to play that again? Was that too quiet or?
Oh, I could hear it. My brain was just trying to comprehend it.
Yeah, I get it. It's
play
a
again.
lot to comprehend, but it's just there's a lot going on. This is a John Mayer passage. I don't remember. I remember hearing it on that pedal show, but I don't know what song it's from. But it's basically just like a little ditty that he does. Actually, I'll do that again because that was kind of fast. And there's also stuff like the 2-5-1 turnarounds, which are very popular in jazz. So you got like 2 5 1, just like that.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's fun
I'm
listening
glad
to you
enjoyed
playing
it.
the guitar.
Oh, thank you.
I want to read some of the.
Go ahead.
I want to read some of the chat here because I missed
Okay.
a few messages. Let's see. We've got. Danny says, "I like waffles. I like waffles as well." I'm guessing Gavin was trying to copy that "Down with the Sickness" thing. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Whatever that is. And then Danny says Revolt likes cake. Yes, of course. And then Danny asks, is it possible to be overwhelmingly obsessed with the special interests? I think for sure. I mean,
Probably.
whether or not it's a bad thing kind of depends on if it's going into addiction territory, because I know that can happen. Like, reminds me of when I played Raft for like 8 hours straight on stream. That was not
Oh, no.
healthy. I know a lot of gamers do that, but it's just not healthy.
So I will sit in my studio and mix a song on my computer, like do like on Logic or whatever. I'll like spend hours writing it or mixing it to the point where my body starts to feel bad because I'm like not getting
Yeah.
enough sleep or not eating
like,
or something like that. That's the
hello,
worst
you
it gets
gotta
for
go
me,
to the
though.
bathroom.
Yeah, that's the worst it gets for me is that interoception, ignoring the interoception of like telling my
Yeah.
body telling me I need to do something. Yeah.
Exactly. And we've talked about interoception on this channel as well, at least once. And
Yeah.
so it's something that a lot of autistic people struggle with, and part of it could also relate to when you're really, really hyper-focused in on an interest of yours to the point that everything else fades in the background. Like, oops, turns out I really gotta pee. That's one of my
Actually,
biggest problems.
This topic is a great segue into your next question, which I already have written down because you did send it to me ahead of time.
Yeah, which is, would you classify your interest in making music as a special interest? And why
Oh
or
no,
why
it was the
not?
one before that.
The one before that? Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
missed one.
Ow. Oh yeah, is there any ways your neurodivergent hinders your ability to make music? And if so, how?
All right. So the answer to this one is aside from the interoception thing, I have such an irritating, anybody who works with me, I have such an irritating creative control complex when it comes to working with my bands. I've gotten a lot better about it recently, but it's not easy. It's not easy telling myself that my ideas may not all be perfect. And I feel kind of bad about that. Now saying it out loud makes me sound like a dick, and I don't want to.
No, you're not a dick. I'm the same way. That's why I do
You know
most
what
of my
it's
projects
like,
by myself, and I hardly ever ask for help because I'm like, it's gonna take me as much time to show you how to do this shit as it will for me to do it myself. So
I've got a vision, man.
I have a vision, and you're getting in the way of it.
Jeez.
It's like a one-track mind kind of thing, and I
Yeah.
think that's one reason why I would just suck at doing film as a career, because I would have to do it according to like how other people want me to do it, and
Yeah.
It would ruin video editing for me. I like doing things the way I want
That's
to.
what ruins it for you.
Yeah, that's what ruins
ruins
it for me. Like making it into a career. It's
Me too.
Ew. And Gavin says, I think the difference between a special interest and an obsession is a special interest is good for your mind, while obsession is bad. I think the same interest goes back and forth between the two. Yeah. I think it kind of depends also on how you even interpret those words themselves, because some people say, like, you know, film,
Semantics.
like I could say film is my obsession or music is my obsession, but it could actually be, you know, just a really strong interest and not an addiction kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Gavin says, neurodivergents are classically solo sport players. Basically, yes.
That reminds me, I have a joke to tell you
Yeah.
later when we're not on stream.
Oh,
Later when we're not
yay.
on stream.
Yay! Secret jokes. Okay. Revolt also says, is it okay to have a special interest that's childish, like a teddy bear, Lego, or certain TV shows and movies that are intended for kids? Of course, it's 100%
Yes.
okay. Like, there are so many
say yes.
adults, like my age, I'm like 30 now. There's so many adults my age and even older who are really into like Disney and stuff like that. And I like cartoons and anime, and I have stuffies and all that.
Here's a question. Who do you think produces that content, the cartoons and like Lego and stuff like that, and tries to make it so that it's fun for children? Who do you think does that? It's adults.
Adults with probably a very like creative childlike mindset, because
Yeah,
you gotta have a
exactly.
childlike mindset to make stuff that kids will like. So
Absolutely.
Ooh,
That's not to say
Hermione's
kids
here
can't
too.
do that. Hey, Hermione.
she says you're never too old for things that make you happy. Sorry, what were you saying, Hayden?
I was just saying that doesn't mean that kids can't do that kind of thing. I'm just saying that, like, you know, somebody's got to do it, and usually it's adults. So you can interpret from there that it's okay to do that kind of thing as an adult,
Exactly.
or be interested in that kind of thing as an adult.
Oh, you know those the Spy Kids movies?
Yes.
I love the Spy Kids movies. But you know what?
They're so ridiculous.
They are ridiculous, but I loved it as a kid. And apparently the guy who created Spy Kids, like
I love this story.
his approach to it was to think of, like, you know, what would a child come up with? Like what kind of story would they make, and what would be in it and stuff. And I think I don't know if he had a kid that he asked or something. He did consult with basically a kid or some kids and ask, like, you know, what kind of stuff do you like? And that's why it's so wacky, because, you know, kids come up with the weirdest crud, and that's why I liked it so much as a kid. It was so freaking weird and awesome. I still like it.
No, yeah, it's very bizarre, and I love it too. I need to rewatch those movies, but
I know.
so I think another part of the uncanniness comes from the fact that he got A-list actors to join in on these movies, and
Oh my
apparently
gosh.
the story behind that, I've heard that the story behind that, like a lot of friends have told me, is like that he was so awesome and approach affable and like easy to work with, and that like everybody like was wanting to be in his films because he was just such a cool guy to be around. He was so charismatic and just at an extreme level, and people were just like, yeah, I'll like the Stallone brothers and George Clooney and George Lopez and everybody else was like, yeah, sure, I'll be in your movie. And he got these like A-list actors, and it was I need to find that story again. Someone
and I think I
showed me
heard
on Facebook.
like a snippet. I heard like a snippet of an interview with him that something about him enjoying the process of making it. Like, it wasn't even that stressful. It's like we're just like kids having fun on a set, like that kind of thing. I'm probably misquoting, but that's kind of the general idea that I got from it. So
there's a similar, not exactly the same, but there's a similar mentality about the oitakus too, because we're just having fun making dorky anime music, and when we perform on stage, so one thing I am kind of serious about is that when we perform on stage, I want it to look like we're having fun, because that's a trick that Eddie Van Halen used to use, where he would point out to the audience, like wave to people and be like, yeah, look at this awesome solo, and he would do that to engage the crowd, and he would do that to share that passion. And that's absolutely something that the oitaku strive to do, and we've been told, like, your passion for like the fun that you look like you're having on stage is so infectious. And that's a really big deal why we do what we do. We move around, we jump around, we like scream at each other, we're like, slamming into each other on stage. It's a lot of fun. I can show you videos later to kind of illustrate that, but I don't have any right now.
Oh,
but I'll show
fine.
you later. Yeah.
Like, I can just picture it. This sounds like a heck of a lot of fun, and with the type of like music the otakus make, it seems like it'd be really easy to have so much fun with it because it's just so like it's so silly. Like there's a song literally about like that's literally telling a anime convention goer otaku kind of person to take a shower. Like it's very silly and great. So yeah, going on to the topic of special interest, because this is technically a like special interest type podcast, and I want to do more of these where I interview people actually about their interests, because then they get a chance to like info dump. But I'm curious if you would classify your interest in making music as a special interest, and why or why not.
Absolutely, because I know way more about songwriting and music production than I may ever practically need. I would say this kind of goes into the next question, but a special interest as being an extreme version of something driven by passion for that subject. Gosh, hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. What was it?
It's okay.
So I know more about songwriting and music production than I may ever practically need, and the reason is because I'm so focused on it. It's like I want to absorb everything about it. It's kind of like if you've ever done an SEO search on Google, where where you crawl a website is what it's called, where basically you have this algorithm that goes through every single little page and every single little function and algorithm, I guess, of your website, so that it can classify it on Google, so that you can search for it on Google. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So it goes through every nook and cranny, and it's like, I want that information, I want that information, I want that information. And that's what my special interest, how I approach special interests. I want to learn every little bit and every little detail in like really specific, finite fashion. Kind of like, I know Sherlock Holmes as like a literary character was known for kind of doing this, being this way, which I think is very a neurodivergent way of approaching it. But I think it's kind of where the special interest comes from. It's like you have to have all the source, all the info about this one specific subject, you know?
Yeah, and then you can kind of Google search it in your brain and find the information you need.
So that is unironically how the human brain works in a neurological setting. Yeah, I've had doctors tell me that is how the human brain works in the first place. It's like a Google search file. It's true.
So like I could type in my brain and just be like tentacle hentai. No.
You're joking with me. I'm serious.
I know, no. No, but I mean it's the same way sometimes with me with some things. My brain also is full of holes. Like I joke that my brain is like a sponge. It's full of holes. It doesn't absorb stuff. It's just full of holes. And I mean, it kind of absorbs stuff, but sometimes I'll forget things, even things that I've studied like 10,000 times. I'll sometimes forget. But that's why I use like a list app where I write down literally everything. So, but generally, there's a lot of stuff that I'll remember, especially with like cooking and nutrition. That's one thing that I like absorbing a lot of knowledge on. I'll be like, ooh, I can tell you exactly what sugar does to your body, or I could tell you,
really?
Or I could tell you like generally what's probably in this recipe, or how to make something. I'm very bad at wording it right now, but
I get that.
But yeah, I like the Google search sort of explanation for this. So
that's not my original. Oh, wait, you mean the SEO thing, or like how the Google search is how your brain works?
The SEO thing and the Google search.
That is my original thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
That is my original analogy.
I think it's a good analogy for it.
Thank you.
Gavin sent us a sandwich. I don't know why. Thanks, Gavin. I like sandwiches. So, also, do you have any other special interests besides making music?
I love yo-yos. I love playing with yo-yos. I love retro video games. And I used to be into computer programming, but I'm a little bit out of practice. But mainly, I collect a bunch of retro video games. I have a whole bunch of consoles in my main room. I've got... Okay, let me see if I can list them off. An NES, a Sega Genesis, a TurboGrafx, an Atari Flashback console. Oh, excuse me. An Atari Flashback like plug-and-play console. I've got a Nintendo 64, a Sega Dreamcast, an Xbox, an original Xbox, a GameCube, and a Nintendo Switch. And I also have a Game & Watch in my living room as well.
Yeah.
I used to have a Sega Game Gear. I used to have a Nintendo Game Boy, like all the Nintendo Game Boys and stuff. I eventually sold them all for like retro, what do you call them, emulator consoles. I also have like a Nintendo 3DS. I've had all different Nintendo DSs over the years. They break really easily, and I love retro. I have EverDrives for some consoles, for the TurboGrafx and the N64, and I plan to get more as well. Yeah, EverDrives, for those who don't know, are flash cartridges that take SD cards, but they plug into like it's like a Nintendo 64 cartridge, but it has a flash port for an SD card, so you can load it with ROMs and play every single game ever released for the N64 on your console.
Ahoy, matey.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
Should we change the subject?
Well, thanks so much for the subscribe. Up the Punks Collective.
I wonder who that is. That might be somebody I know.
Sounds familiar.
I'll figure that out.
Yeah, go stalk them.
Figure that out.
I was gonna say though, like, you have way more consoles than I do, and I think that your console collection is really cool. Like, I don't feel like I need all the consoles, but I
do.
I very much I very much cherish the ones that I have. I like that I still have my old Nintendo 64 with the games, and I still have my PS3, my
I love that.
The fat one that's like backwards compatible and is freaking loud. Like, it squeals really, really loudly when I turn. It's like the whole time that I'm playing it, but it's beautiful anyway. So beautiful.
I'm looking up the Punks Collective on YouTube and seeing. Is this on YouTube where you got the subscriber, or is this?
Yeah, it was on
some
YouTube.
Other...
It was on YouTube. Sorry, we're stalking you up the Punks, but we're just very curious.
It's probably someone I know. That's why I'm curious.
It sounds familiar.
I'll do it later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, trying to think if there was anything else. Like, speaking of like nerdy interests, I found it really funny how, like, so me and my friend Jaden went to go visit Hayden. It's funny, their names rhyme. And Hayden, you had a Mystery Science Theater 3000 playing on your TV, and Jaden happens to like it too. And it was kind of fun to see you guys.
Oh, I didn't know he liked it too.
That.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he liked that it was playing on your TV. It's like so nerdy, lovely. Mm-hmm. So is there anything else that, just to close, is there anything else that you'd like to info dump about music, like fun facts or music theory, like that you haven't already shared?
I don't really info dump about guitar. I haven't info dumped about guitar stuff in a long time, but I will be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
So I sometimes collect guitar pedals, and I like using guitar effects in between my guitar and the amp. Basically, the way it works is that you've got the guitar, which I'm pointing to my guitars over here. You can't see them on screen. And then I've got my amps over there, which I showed you earlier. Yeah, I've got my amps over there, which I showed you earlier. And basically, you take the guitar, plug the cable into the amp, and that's how you get your sound. If you put one of these in between, this right here is an Ibanez Tube Screamer, which is a type of guitar effects pedal. Basically, you put this on the ground, and you stomp on this little lever right here with your foot, and it turns on the effect. In this case, this is a distortion or a overdrive pedal. Overdrive, distortion, they're kind of the same thing. Ooh. Where it adds. How do I say this to someone who doesn't know what distortion is? It adds volume to the amp.
I was trying to make a noise that made me think of like guitar distortion. I keep thinking kind of noise.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, no, you're right actually. So the way that works is that amplifiers in the past, amplifiers have had vacuum tubes in them. And when you turn the amp up really loud, the vacuum tubes distort the electric signal, and they make it from like sounding like a clean guitar is what we call it when there's no distortion on it, to a loud and raunchy sound, which we call distortion or overdrive or saturation. There's different words for it.
Raunchy is such a great word for it.
This particular kind of pedal it was originally built to kind of simulate that sound into a clean amp, simulate the sound of like a slightly overdriven amp. What it's used for nowadays, though, is because a lot of people like to get gain from the amps themselves nowadays, because nowadays you don't have to crank it up super loud. All you have to do is turn up the preamp gain, and you have a master volume usually, which you can turn the amp down so it's not super loud. But what a lot of people use these for, because these have what's known as a mid-hump. A mid-hump is in the frequency spectrum of the guitar, like where you have the lower register here and then the higher register here. The mid-hump is like if you look on an EQ curve where it kind of goes like this, where it kind of boosts the mid-frequencies, which is important. So this pedal will boost the mid-frequency of that sound, and that's important because the guitar sits in the mid-range of the instruments in a band. You have the lower register is usually reserved for bass guitar and the kick drum. The higher register is reserved for the vocals, like the singing, and like the cymbals and the snare drum and stuff like that. So the guitars occupy the middle frequency, and that's how they cut through the mix better. And this pedal, a lot of people use it now because of the mid hump. We'll put this in the signal chain, is what it's called, when it goes from your guitar to your amp, to boost the mid signal going into the overdrive channel of the amp, and thus causing that to saturate more and push it into distortion and push through the mix. And there is a wonderful YouTube channel that I follow called That Pedal Show. It's a great name, with these two guys up in England who talk about just nothing but guitar effects pedals. And I've got a few guitar effects pedals. Actually, I'll go grab them and show you. Give me 1 second. I've got a few loose pedals over here. This one, for example, is called the Lil Beaver. I love it. It's what's known as a Big Muff clone. A Big Muff pedal is a Big Muff Pi is the type of guitar pedal that was really popular in the 70s and 80s, and this is a clone of it. It's really small, and it's kind of quiet, actually. You need to turn it up pretty loud to get the same effect. Let's see, what are these?
Also, I found that YouTube channel you mentioned. I'm posting it in the chat.
Yay!
So if anyone wants
It's
link,
awesome.
There's the link to that pedal show.
I'm obsessed with this show so much. I've gotten to be on their like Q&A. It's so awesome. Let's see. This one is a delay pedal. This is called the Old Blood Noise Black Fountain. And basically what this does is it causes your guitar to echo. You have different knobs to adjust the time, the amount of feedback, like the amount of echoes it does, and a mix to blend in the amount of effect. And basically what it'll do is like you'll play a chord, da, and then it'll go da, 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 and get quieter. This one is called the Reflector. I haven't gotten a chance to mess around with this very much, but I think it's a chorus. I just got it recently. A friend of mine gave it to me, actually. It's really pretty, yeah.
That's
and
like my color.
Is...
That matches my shirt like to a T.
It does.
That's funny.
This one's a chorus pedal, which means that it doubles up the signal and detunes one of the doubles so that it kind of warbles in and out, makes it sound like it's kind of underwater. I wish I could show you an example.
Wow, wow, wow.
Purple Rain by Prince has this effect in the very intro, and you can kind of hear that the chorus effect, and that's how that goes. And if you'll bear with me, I want to pick up one more thing that I want to show you, and then I think I'll be done info dumping.
Teacher, I has a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, can you connect your guitar to multiple of those, like more than one?
I will be right back.
Oh, you're gonna do it, aren't you?
So in this box, I have a device known as a pedal board. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm going to show you my pedal board. This is so cool. This is the one that I use for the Oitakus when I play live. Give me 1 second. I got to take out a couple devices in here. Okay, so this is basically... What?
Sorry, you go first. Explain what a pedal board is first, because otherwise what I say isn't going to make sense.
All right. So I'll show you. This has a few more effects on it, too, that I'll go over. But basically... Ooh, I accidentally kicked my desk in a bunch. Oh no, my ball's gonna fall. My Dragon Ball. There we go.
Oh no.
Okay, so this is what's known as a guitar effects pedal board. I'm gonna try to show you as best I can. Where there's multiple pedals, and they're all powered by this power unit up here called a power brick. I guess in this case it's called an ISO power brick. I can't remember. It's MXR brand. And we start by, actually, I'll start over here, because this is my wireless unit. So this is picks up and receives transmissions from a wireless pack that like I attach to my guitar strap, so I don't have to use a cable and run around stage. I can run off the stage and go everywhere. It's a lot of fun. This one right here in the middle, this one called Crybaby, is a whammy pedal or a wah pedal, not a whammy pedal, a wah pedal.
Big
so
foot
basically, big foot pedal. I stomp on it, and then it activates this little switch right here, and then I like move it up and down with my foot, and that gives it a wah 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 kind of effect, kind of like using a trumpet.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Also, I should mention that this will also be on Spotify, and some people might only be listening, so we might also want to describe what it looks like as well.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. But basically, what we're looking at, this pedal board, it's got all these cool little doohickeys, and what he was showing us next was it looks like a foot pedal with a button underneath, and so you press it, and it does like the wah wah thing.
It kind of looks like a gas pedal on a car, kind of, where you can rock it back and forth.
Yeah.
In a way, like an old-fashioned gas pedal.
And also, fun little touch, there's a little rubber duck thing on it. Is it a rubber chicken? Looks like a chicken, but it's like a rubber duck.
It's a chicken duck.
It's a chicken duck. Doesn't have any function, does it? It's just decoration.
A friend of mine gave it to me. It's kind of a sentimental thing because, I promised I would put it on something important. Aww. This white one right here, there's a white one. It says it's a TC Electronics Polytune. I'm going to say the names of all the pedals so you can look them up if you're just listening on the podcast. So first is a Line 6 relay wireless unit. Then next is a Crybaby Junior. It's known as a Dunlop Crybaby Junior. It's a small wah pedal with a light on it, and the input jacks are on the top. It's very useful for being on a small pedal board.
That's the wah wah pedal.
One, yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it.
The next one is the TC Electronics Polytune, which is a Polytune Mini, which is a tiny little pedal where I stomp on it, and then little LEDs light up to tell me whether my guitar strings are in tune. The next one is an MXR Phase 95, which is a mini version of an MXR Phase 90. This is called a phaser pedal. I stomp on it, and it gives kind of a similar warbly sound to the chorus that I showed you earlier, but it's like it's a little bit more gritty, kind of. It's one that Eddie Van Halen used a lot. And then finally, this big orange pedal is called the Keeley D&M Drive. This was a pedal that is advertised by that pedal show, and in fact, you can see the faces on it. Those are the two guys on that pedal show. Their names are Dan and Mick. And so you have the Dan side and then the Mick side over here. And the Dan side is an overdrive, and then the Mick side is a boost that is kind of similar in fashion to the Ibanez Tube Screamer. The overdrive side, I think it's supposed to be like a super overdrive, like a Boss super overdrive, but I'm not 100% sure of that. And basically, my guitar signal. So to explain the full signal, it goes into the wireless unit from the guitar, into the wah pedal, into the tuner, into the phaser, and then into the drive pedal, which then goes to my amp. I don't have any pedals on here that use what's known as the effects loop, but I do on my other pedal board, which is too big to show right now, and in fact, it's not even finished yet. So I'll show that to you some other time. But yeah, that's my pedal board info dump.
I love it. You know, what I was going to say earlier, which I said, wouldn't make sense until you explained what a pedal board was. A pedal board seems like, how I put it, for musicians is like the equivalent of like building a computer, almost, like for computer nerds, it seems.
It can be,
because you can kind of decide what you want on it, right?
Absolutely, it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of like technical know-how that goes into building it really well as well. It's a lot of fun. It's like, I want to show you something actually. Unfortunately, the podcast listeners won't be able to see this, but I want to show you how well organized the cabling is on the bottom.
Wow, yeah, it's
all nice
very
and
neat and bundled up nicely and out of the way. Yeah, that's another thing too when it comes to like building computers is like cable management. Got to make sure that it's not all over the place. Can I just say, like, I just love hearing people like get really excited about their interests. Like, even if I have no idea what you're talking about, like I'll listen to people who are, autistic, who are going on about a special interest of theirs that like I know nothing about, but just seeing them so excited about it and then like getting to ask them questions about it, it's like so fun. I love it. But I think have at least some general knowledge of what some of this stuff is. It's not my
That's awesome. I'm
it's not
glad.
my expertise though. But yeah.
I'm glad you have an interest in like learning about it. That's so cool. Or like listening to someone talk about it.
Yeah, I love it so much.
There's one
Sorry,
thing I
were you
want to
gonna
say,
say
if that's
something?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just really quick. I believe it was Revolt who asked, "Would you ever try to make punk shoegaze combined together?" If I may, I want to recommend you a couple bands. I don't know if they're still around, but there's a band called Precious from up north, New York, I think. I think they're from New York. And a band called A Secret Policeman's Ball from here in Tennessee. I don't know if either of them are still active, but they are punk shoegaze, and you should definitely check them out.
Are they on YouTube?
They should be. I'm gonna look and see. I have a Secret Policeman's Ball's album, but I don't. I'm gonna look and see if it's on YouTube, and if it is, I'll
if you
send you
can
a link.
find like just a YouTube link or something to send to Revolt.
Yeah, I will. I will. They're very, very good.
And in the
Give me 1
meantime,
second.
I'm gonna just rant about building computers. So me being a jack of all trades, master of none. So I love gaming, and I love streaming, and a lot of these things require a good computer, and I had to learn how to build a computer, and I
That's
hate
great.
doing it. But at least
Aw.
now I know about the stuff. Like. So now I can actually like look at somebody else's computer and actually understand what the specs mean. Like a friend of mine had like a computer that I guess like someone she knew gave it to her a long time ago, saying that, oh, this guy spent like thousands of dollars on it or something. It was like advertised as a gaming laptop. I look at the specs and it was like a Core i3. It was like really, really bad. And I'm like, how is this a gaming computer? How does this run anything? Was this person scammed? I am so sorry. Like, at least now you got a free computer, but man, that person must have been scammed. Holy crap. That's terrible. But yeah. Ooh, I got a new graphics card. I'm so excited. Oh.
Nice.
Okay, anyway, sorry, enough of my special interest
It's your
rant.
show. It's your show.
I know, but I'm interviewing you, so. And Danny says one of my special interests is a waffle zone. Oh, thank you. I love that. I love I love the waffle zone. Speaking of waffle zone, if you're not in our community, why are you not in our community? No, just kidding. Let me get a link to our Discord server where once a month we watch movies, we talk about lots of fun things. We have a music channel as well, and Hayden is now petting his device thing. What's it called again?
A tube screamer.
I love that name, Tube Screamer.
Because it makes the tubes in the amp scream. Yeah.
I'm in pain. Why are you doing this to me? No, I'm just kidding. Oh no, if pedals were alive, stop stepping on me. Unless they like it. Like, please step on me, senpai.
Of course you were gonna go there.
Of course I was gonna go there. So, a lovely thing. So, we have a message from Danny Bono, who is one of our Epic Waffle subscribers. And one of the perks of being an Epic Waffle subscriber for this channel is you can send a message that we will shout out to the entire world during WaffleCast. And his message is, you can never be too old to fly a kite. Absolutely lovely.
That's wholesome.
Yes. I'm going to type it in chat. It's just, there you go. If you want to copy that quote and post it all over the internet. It kind of goes almost along with what we were talking about earlier about special interests being, age appropriate or not. Honestly, age doesn't freaking matter. You can fly a kite if you want. You can have stuffies if you want. You can step on Legos all you want. It'll still hurt no matter what age you're at. Please don't step on Legos. It hurts like heck. Let's go fly a kite. Let's fly a waffle kite. I don't know if a waffle will
fly a kite up to the high. I'm sorry.
Is that a song? I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it's from Mary Poppins.
Oh.
Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up to the highest up near. Oh, I can't remember the words. Never mind.
It's okay. I'm so sorry. I'm uncultured.
It's okay.
It's like when people ask, "Have you seen this classic movie that like everyone has seen?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Should I have seen it?
I'm the same way.
Ah!
I'm the same
I still
way.
haven't seen The Room, and that's like one that like.
Oh,
like,
Tommy Wiseau.
Everyone has seen. I've seen
Oh,
clips
hi,
of it.
Mark. I've seen clips.
Hi, Mark. Like, I've seen enough clips where I feel like I don't really need to watch the whole movie. Hi, Mark.
I still need to
So
watch the
beautiful.
Alien series. I still need to watch Terminator. The Terminator series.
I haven't even seen that either. Oh my goodness.
What else do I
Not
need
really
to
sure
see?
how to close because we've pretty much gone through our whole script.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. I still need to see that. People have been
Ooh,
like
it's a good
upset
one.
at me for not seeing. I know.
No. Personally, I actually like Corpse Bride better. Like, I
Corpse
don't know
Bride
why.
is so good.
I love Corpse
Corpse
Bride.
Bride
It's
is
so good.
so.
I love
Oh
the
my
song
gosh.
from Corpse Bride too. It's like the best. It's so
You
beautiful.
should sing it.
Wait. Sing it? It's
Yeah.
not. It's the one. Well, there's a lot of songs in Corpse Bride. I'm talking about the piano song, which
It's an instrumental.
it's only an instrumental. I mean, I'm sure I could come up with the
okay.
lyrics and sing it, but
You can play piano.
I can. Yes, I can to some degree.
Yes.
I'm gonna post a link to the scene actually where he was playing the song at the beginning of the movie because it's such a beautiful song and I really like it and I'm a nerd.
I need to learn to play that too. I've been learning to play piano, but I haven't stuck to it very much.
Yeah, I'm so bad at reading sheet music, honestly. The one time that I
The piano that I own.
pushed through and learned how to play a song like on my own that was actually like more complicated than, you know, row 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 your boat or whatever, was To Xanarkand from Final Fantasy X. Which
Yeah,
is,
you showed me that. It was very good.
thanks. It's a very beautiful piano song, and I'm like, it's so beautiful that I will put up with trying to learn the sheet music. Actually, now I'm curious, how do you do with sheet music? Because I know not every musician likes sheet music. Nope.
No. So there was a story. One time I was in college when I was trying to interview, I guess, or audition, that's the word, for the, what's it called? Music program, the jazz music program. And in order to get to the private lesson level or whatever, you had to audition by, they would like ask you to play a certain scale, and to play a an already chosen song or whatever. And I played, I think, How High the Moon by Les Paul on guitar. And then there was a section where they would plop a piece of sheet music in front of you that you'd never seen before, and then go 1, 2, 3, go. And I failed miserably.
Oh, no!
Awful.
No,
It was
no,
awful.
No.
I cannot.
would
I
die.
can't sight
would
read.
die.
I cannot sight read. I can't cold read. But I can if you
can
give me a
sight
minute, I can figure it out. But they wanted me to do it right then. You know?
Oh my god. It's like, it's not the same, at least for me, it's not the same as just reading words off of a piece of paper. It's like, I have to be like, okay, this is on this line. What was it again? F-A-C-E. I'm trying to remember all those little shortcuts, like, you know, every
Yeah,
good boy
F-A-C-E.
does fine.
Every good boy deserves fudge.
Oh no, that sounds like that could go so wrong. Only if the boy wants the fudge. I don't know.
Only if the boy consents to the fudge.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
We're so inappropriate.
We're
Also,
getting weird
Revolt
now.
Revolt says we should watch Nightmare Before Christmas for movie night. I mean, totally. Like, send a message in the movies and TV channel to remind me, and I can put that on our list. So
Yeah, that sounds
about
like
movie night in our Waffle Zone Discord server. You can suggest movies and I will just add it to the list. Especially if there's at least, you know, a couple people that really want to see the movie. I'll be like, cool, definitely add it to the list. And I also kind of arranged the whole server in a way that you can customize your experience as well. So like if you want to just go in there to watch movies and have all the other stuff turned off generally, except for like general chat and stuff, you can do that. Yeah, all cows eat grass. That was another one. I remember one of them involved a cow. I just didn't remember what it was. So anyway, so yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we close, Hayden?
I have to go to the bathroom.
I do too. Thank you for sharing. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for today's WaffleCast. It was so fun interviewing Hayden about his interest in music, and in the future I hope to do more of these on special interests and let people info dump, because I love it so much. Y'all
Thank you
have
so
a
much
great
for having
night.
me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, and remember that we're also on Anchor and Spotify, so you can listen to us on there and also watch us on YouTube on the Neurolucia YouTube channel. So subscribe. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Yay. Still here? Well, don't go anywhere yet. At the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned that Hayden wanted to share a song from his band, the Oitakus. This is called Oi Oi, Fight the Power.
How to date an anime girl. Step 1. You can't.
Shackled to the earth, life here has no worth. Your anger bruised beneath. Let's say you quit those teeth. Do the impossible, drink the undrinkable. Oi, oi, fight the power. Give it constable because we are unstoppable. Oi, oi, fight the power. Forget the system, just shoot your shot. Oi, oi, that's the truth, not to be forgot. No more game is done, time to fight for your life. Oi, oi, fight the power. You best believe it, only you can seize it. Fight the power. Just who the hell do you think I am?